What is up, YouTube? What's up, Extreme Gains family? I'm Chuck. This is Extreme Gains. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Sunday, August 28th, 2022, and this is my AMC, GME, and SPY Algo Exposed weekly update and preparation video for tomorrow and beyond. As always, I hope you all had a great day on Friday. I hope you took advantage of the market shitting itself and you were able to make some extreme gains for yourselves. I'm going to go over all my regulars, my snake algo method for all three tickers, and some macro comparatives, and I'm going to do things a little bit different in this video. I'm going to pull up some side-by-side screenshots of Thursday night's update and prep video and compare them to the fulfillment that we got on Friday on everything that we normally go over. So we're going to try that this time and see how that works. I don't quite understand what's going on out in social media land. A couple people not understanding and questioning the fulfillment of things, and then obviously the analytics completely heading down, which doesn't make any sense when you have projections and fulfillments like we're about to look at here, and we do this day in and day out every single day on this channel. So we're going to do it a little bit different this time and go from there and see how it works. So with all of that said, let's dig in. All right, what an unbelievable day on Friday. Like I said, the market absolutely shit itself to the downside, provided some unbelievable extreme gains. My scalp setups provided some crazy ROIs. I did throw a tweet up on Friday afternoon, including some of the ROIs from my scalp setups, as well as the micro intraday snakes on both AMC and SPY, which were out of the park as well. So from every perspective, things absolutely fulfilled perfectly on Friday and provided some stupid extreme gains. My scalp setups provided 10 entries from trigger, the highest ROI being 650%. 650%. I had a second one at 600%, a third one at 480%. Then I had a 140, a 100, an 80, a 60, and 340s to round out the list for the day. It was an unbelievable day for the Extreme Gains Premium and General Discord members. Congratulations to all of you on your wins. It is always well deserved. And like I said at the beginning, I hope all of you in our extended family out here in YouTube land were able to do something similar and make some extreme gains for yourselves. All right, moving on to the intra-week snakes and the macro comparatives. Currently on your screen is AMC and my current intra-week snakes. AMC finished the day on Friday, regular trading hours, down 4.18%, down an additional 0.22% in after hours, ending the week trading at $9.13. Here are the two current intra-week snakes that we have been looking at here. The red is the day prior to the previous divergence. Green is the day of. We obviously are continuing to fulfill the day prior to the red one to the downside, and we continue that on Friday. And here is the side-by-side of that. Here is Thursday night's video with both of the snakes on there. You can see the projection was either to continue to follow the day of divergence to the upside or to reject and follow the day prior to divergence back down to the downside. We continue to fulfill to the downside as projected by the day prior to intra-week snake. So you can see what the projection is moving forward from it, moving into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Now, as far as the day of divergence, this could be viewed as a potential mirrored fulfillment of it to the downside, and you can see that it would obviously breach the macro ascending level of support and continue to consolidate down under it prior to getting up above it again, whereas the day prior to divergence shows a bounce and then consolidation above it. So moving forward, that may be something that we need to look at. But until then, I'm going to leave it in the straight up position in case this was just a quick invert mirroring and then a potential move back upside for a convergence back with it. So that is everything that I'm looking at from AMC and an intra-week snake perspective. Moving on to the macro comparative. As you know, I'm using the previous double bottom right next door, the same one I used to project the last 5 months of fulfillment, both the move down from $36 and then the consolidation and the double formation, and then back up to our most recent high, which was at, I believe, $28 prior to the value removal and the chart readjusting to these new levels here. I'm using that same double bottom in a mirrored position here, and throughout last week I did explain why it was that I was using it in that position, and this was the position of it throughout. You can see the previous fulfillment of it to the downside and the continued fulfillment of it on Friday to the downside as well. Here is the side by side of it on Thursday night's video and what the projection was from it to the downside, and obviously we fulfilled that projection to the downside as well. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Obviously, it would still be realizing the macro ascending level of support if it were to put a bounce in somewhere around or above the $8.75 area. So that is everything that I am looking at with AMC moving into tomorrow and beyond. Up next is GME. GME finished the day on Friday down 3.19%, down an additional 0.29% in after hours, ending the day and the week trading at $30.90. The current intra-week snake has been projecting and fulfilling for 4 weeks now. In all of last week, leading into last week, we talked about this ascending level of support potentially breaching and price action heading to the downside, therefore fulfilling this upside projection to the downside. I did frame this in with some line work here to show what I thought that may look like to the downside. I will go ahead and mirror this for you and show you briefly. You can see that we continued to get fulfillment of that to the downside. There's the framework for that move to the downside in a mirrored manner if price action were to continue to fulfill that way. I also put in 2 levels of potential support. One was at 32.45. We did find brief support there. It didn't last very long. We breached back through that, back to the downside, rejected off of that same level, back straight down to the next level of support, which is my last resort support for confirmation of the continued fulfillment of the downside, mirrored fulfillment of the projection, or potentially to find support and bounce back to the upside according to the macro comparative, which I'm going to show you in a minute. That level is at $30.80, and that is where we played around on Friday after the downside move. So that will be my last resort support and or confirmation level of bounce and or breakdown, depending upon which fulfills moving forward. Let's pull up the side-by-side of Thursday night's video of GME and the intra-week snake. There it was. There was the continued projection to the downside to the next level, and there was the fulfillment of it to the downside. Then the macro comparative for GME. I told y'all I needed to reevaluate it, and I have, putting it in a mirrored position for a full-on mirrored fulfillment. You can see it mirrored here, converged and fulfilled, and then one last mirroring here, and now price action is converging back with it. So if it were to continue to fulfill itself in a mirrored manner here, you can see that that's the bounce coming off of the 30.80 moving forward into tomorrow and beyond. If and when price action were to fulfill in that manner, I will clip what comes next according to this macro comparative and review it with you moving forward into this week. That is everything that I am looking at with GME moving into tomorrow and beyond. Last but not least is SPY. SPY finished the day on Friday, regular trading hours, down 3.38%, down an additional 0.36% in after hours, ending the week trading at 403.85. The current intra-week snakes that I went over with you and have been going over are as follows. The red is the day prior to the previous divergence. The green is the day of. The red in its straight up position was like this. Obviously, price action diverted from that and appears to be potentially fulfilling this in a mirrored position to the downside upon that divergence. So I mirrored this and we got fulfillment of it on Friday to the downside. You can see if we continue to fulfill it in the mirrored position, what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond. Then I have the day of divergence. And in its position was right here. And we fulfilled that projection to the downside. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Let me pull up the side-by-side again from Thursday night's video for SPY and the day of divergence intra-week snake. You can see we put in our 2 4-hour candles and then the downside move right here as it was projected in Thursday night's video. Then I have the macro comparative from the 08-09 correction and crash. And we talked about this throughout the week about the potential and even leading up into it. The macro comparative was showing an essential head and shoulders here with a left shoulder, a neck and head, and then a right shoulder and a formation of a W here prior to the rejection and release to downside. And we talked about this potentially being the peak being in versus it not being in. So looking at it in the way that we had tracked it throughout last week with the assumption that the peak was in and going peak on peak like that. Here was the position of it. And there is the fulfillment of it to the downside on Friday as it was projected. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this position. Let me pull up the side-by-side of the macro comparative for SPY. Right here it is. There's the peak on peak. And the fulfillment to the upside that we had going into Friday's trading and the projection in Thursday night's video to the downside. And here is the fulfillment of that projection to the downside on Friday. However, I do want to bring one thing to your attention regarding the macro comparative. If the peak were not in this manner, I looked at one other position of this potentially being relevant. That would be the move to peak over 1, and you can see that then the peak fulfilled to the upside away from and mirroring the downside projection in this position. We still maintain integrity going in reverse, looking at the previous fulfillment. And you can see that we continued to maintain the fulfillment out in front here as well throughout last week. And you can see the fulfillment to the downside in this position as well. You can see the difference of projection moving forward into tomorrow and beyond from the macro comparative in this position if price action were to continue to fulfill it. Obviously, with peak on peak, it's projecting a bounce back up and the continued fulfillment of the W formation prior to the rejection and release downside versus a continued downside move in this position and then a bounce back up to the macro neckline of that head and shoulders before the release to downside. So that's the difference in projection and the characteristics of movements that I will be looking at with SPY regarding the macro comparative moving into tomorrow and beyond. My friends, my family, I do not know what else I must do on this channel. That is everything that I have for this video, everything that I have that I'm looking at and looking for with AMC, GME, and SPY moving into specifically tomorrow and this week and beyond. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it provided some value. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. Don't forget to smash the like button on the way out. Throw down a comment. Let me know how y'all did on Friday as well. I will get an update and prep video out tomorrow night after market close like always. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday fun day, and I will talk to you all in tomorrow night's video. Take care. Later.